basically my local art gallery. He's low on stock, so we gotta finish these up. We're gonna be adding a little tree to the side of this project, plus we're gonna be adding a little bit of metallic to the outline of the state. Hi, welcome back to another Sunday Stitches. I am Lauren, the artist and quilter behind Garden Girl Studio. Last week was a tough sewing week, so this week we are keeping our project simple and easy. My fingers are all healed up so I can hand stitch, and today I'm going to be working on this project right here. This is an outline of New York State, my home region where I live, and on the inside it says home. I also have versions that have city names for local cities and towns. Basically my local art gallery, I make these up for him. I stick them in a little 4-inch hoop and they can be used as wall art, gifts, ornaments, and he's low on stock, so we got to finish these up. I pre-stitched these using my embroidery machine. This is a satin stitch to outline the state and to do all of the lettering. But then I always add hand embellishments. So we're going to be adding a little tree to the side of this project, plus we're going to be adding a little bit of metallic to the outline of the state. So if you'd like to join me, I can show you how to do that. And if you're interested in making your own home region or custom ornament, for only $20, I'll show you how to do a split stitch where you can outline your home region, you can add some font. I'll show you how to make up the whole project. I will link it in the description below so you can go check it out if you want to make a similar project and learn some, embroidery basics, some beginner embroidery techniques. So I'm going to start. If you love landscape projects, if you love botanicals, we're going to be making a tree, you're going to love this project. So let's go on ahead and dive right in. Okay, to get started, I have loaded up my New York State into a 4-inch hoop. So this is what the final size is going to look like. I also pulled my floss. So when I am making my pine trees on the side of the state here, I basically go like top of the tree and then the bottom of the tree comes to balance out this side of New York State. I use Valdani, or I've been using Valdani floss. Now, I've also used Valdani pearl cotton, but most importantly, I like it to be variegated. So you can see on here that the color kind of ranges between like a foresty blue green to an olive green. The trees are not flat colors. So by using a variegated thread, it's going to kind of give the tree a little bit more character as we're stitching it. It's going to make it look just a little bit nicer. And we're using all 6 strands. I am going to use an embroidery needle and I'll show you. This is a really simple tree. It is very forgiving. No 2 trees I make are exactly alike. We are going to freehand it. I don't use a template. If you'd like a template, drop it in the comments below and I can sketch one up for you to sketch in there. But I'll basically show you how I start off my trees. So I start at the top of the tree and I'm going to bring my needle up and I'm just going to drop a little ways down, not super big, maybe say just over 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to start my branches, and basically the branches widen as you go down the tree. So we're going to just make a couple little short branches. I'm going to kind of Y off here at an angle. And then I'm going to kind of back stitch a little bit. But I'm just going to make a couple little branches. You don't want them to go too high of an angle. Just kind of want them to come down, and I tend to balance out the other side. So we're going to go ahead and again, we're going to make a little Y coming down at an angle. Okay. We'll pull that taut. There we go. I want there to be a little side branch here. So again, we're finishing off our Y. And we're going to just keep adding branches as we go. So I want there to be a couple branches coming down here. So we're going to, at the end of our the first stroke that we took, I'm just going to kind of make a little upside down V here. We're going to kind of put one stroke down one direction, and I'm going to come up like right next to it. And we're going to, and don't worry about everything being even. So your stitches can be slightly different lengths. That's really good. You want to keep this tree kind of looking natural. Now, I'm looking at this and I kind of want, for now, we're going to leave it. I might wind up adding a little sub branches here, but I don't want to get too wide too early. So what I'm going to do is, this is our first section of the tree. We're going to go down now to the second section. So I'm going to take another little, I'd say it's somewhere between 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 inch gap, okay? And we're going to come down to the second part of the tree. We can always add in a couple more branches later if we think that it needs it. So, and again, we're going to kind of come and we're going to start making a Y, but we're going to make a couple extra branches this time. So I'm going to make my first Y. There we go. And I'm going to come kind of to the center of the stitch I just took. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take another stitch and I'm going to stitch back to the center of the previous one. Okay. And then I'm going to just take a straight stitch here. I'm just going to take one stitch and I'm going to come back kind of to the center, almost to the intersection where these two branches meet. Okay. And that's our first branch. What I might do is I might have another little branch coming out over here because I think it needs a little something in this space. So we'll take another little branch here. We're just going to kind of keep adding and building until we're happy with our tree. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I come back to the center. And then I'm going to come back over here. A little too far. Let's keep this one a little bit smaller. And I'm actually going to come back to the end of this branch. Okay. There we go. And I think I want to put in one more elongated branch right here. Okay. So I kind of want it, I want my branches to kind of hit almost to the edge of my region outline, my New York State outline, because we're going to kind of make the impression that this tree is sitting behind New York State. Okay, let's come back down. We want to make another set of branches to fill in the center space here. And I am just making little V's. That's all I'm doing. I'm just building out little V's until I'm happy with the space. If you kind of want to get an idea of what angle you're going to be taking, you can use your strand to kind of see where you might be going. I like to do that because sometimes when we're just freeform stitching, we don't always know what it's going to look like until we're done. Okay, and I'm going to come right down again to the edge of that home, and I want to fill in this little gap right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple little small stitches, another little V, and just connect it to the end of one of these little branches. There we go. And I'm going to keep it pretty tight because I don't want it to get too clustered in there. Nice little tight V. We're just going right back up to that same spot. Okay. So yeah, now we're going to come back up to the top again. It's okay to travel a little bit. And I'm going to come out a little ways, similar to this branch. And then we're going to just start. I'm going to come into there we go. I'm going to come into the center of that dash, and I'm going to make my angle come down. I always find these smaller branches are much harder. The bigger ones that we do at the bottom are much easier. These little ones, it's always like takes a minute to kind of get rolling. And then once we're kind of on a roll, we kind of do okay. But essentially, I'm just coming to the center of the stitch. I'm coming down. And I want to make another branch out. Here we go. And I want my tree to come out a little bit more this way. So I'm going to use this end right here to make another little V to come out. I want those to be connected. Here we go. And I want it to just come out just a little ways more. I don't want to overbalance to the left, but I do want just a little bit more over here. And at the end of the branch, I make a V back to the end point. Okay. Now, one thing that's a little odd, I think I want to add a little bit more to the top here. So what I'm going to do is I think I want to just come up here, and we're just going to add a little V to the end of this branch and see how that looks. We can always pull it back out. These are big enough stitches that they're easy to pull out, but I think that's going to look okay. Again, really small. We don't want super huge stitches. My 6-strand floss is starting to separate a little bit, so we're going to do what I call flushing it out. Basically, if it's starting to gap a little bit, we're just going to flush it out to the end of the strand. There we go, so that it pulls through the fabric evenly. Okay, come back up again to that end point. Here we go. Yeah, I think we're okay with that. We're going to do the same thing over here on this side. We're going to just add a couple little small points. There's one. And another little V right here. Okay. Beautiful. So this is the top of our tree. The only other thing I might do is, because we came so far out on this one, I'm going to add a couple little small points right here, just to kind of extend it out to the edge of our outline so you can see that it theoretically is continuing behind the state. So we're just I'm gonna pull it this way just to balance it out just a little bit more. And you can make it thinner, you can make your tree wider. It's 1000% up to you. This is your tree. Like I said, every tree comes out a little bit different. And this point here is it's a little kind of just sitting by itself. So we're gonna give it a little angle down here, just kind of like as if it were continuing. Okay, happy with this so far. This is cute. And again, this doesn't need to be perfect. No tree is perfect. We're just kind of getting a sense for how this is going to work. So I'm going to knot off on the back, and then I'm going to jump down to the bottom of the state. In this case, I start in the middle directly where we would have been coming down. So I'm going to come right up on the edge of my region here. If you don't have a region, you can just, again, extend down a little line and then start your stitches from there. But because I have the state in my way, I'm going to be jumping behind it. So I start by just making a little V. One. And then I tend to make this branch just a little bit shorter. There we go. I have a number of, because I didn't machine embroidery, I have a number of layers to go through. So we're pulling hard here to get through our fabric, but it's going to be okay. So if you see me pulling, it's because I got to just make sure that everything goes through. Okay, so we have our first V. I'm going to choose one of the branches. In this case, it's going to be the one on the left here. I'm going to come up almost in the center, maybe 2/3 the way down. And I'm making a stitch that's basically parallel to our other branch, okay? And we're just gonna come down. Then I'm coming in the center of that branch, and I am making a stitch that is essentially parallel to this one. And you don't want them to get too much longer. You kind of want them to get shorter as you go, but they don't have to be significantly shorter. It depends on how far down you want your tree to come. So we're gonna come up in the center, go just a couple more. And I think that looks about right for the width that I want. So I'm coming up kind of close to the middle of my V, and I'm going to come straight out. Okay, so we're going to come just straight down, and that's the end of our first branch. Okay, so let's start the second branch. I am going to just make another V right at the top here. Nothing too crazy. There's our V. And I want to make sure that it's not too far away from this branch. So I'm going to start this time by actually choosing the other side to be parallel to, because I want to make sure I'm filling in this way a little bit. So we don't want our tree to be too far away. And just keep filling in your V's as you go down. Our middle branch should be the longest. They're gonna kind of taper up into like a slight curve as we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this one off. Again, just slightly shorter than my middle branch. Okay. Next, we're gonna come up and make another V. I'm gonna come down this way just a little bit though. Oh, trying not to catch all my back layers. Theoretically could have trimmed them away, but it gives a little extra support in the hoop. Okay. And we're always just going to be kind of taking a stitch and coming back to the center of the previous stitch in little crisscrossy formation. There we go. That's the end of that branch. And then we're going to kind of wrap up the side here. Usually I make it just a little bit shorter. We're not going to do quite so many. I want to fill kind of all the way over here. So it looks like our tree is kind of extending out. We're going to do a little end cap on that part of the tree. Ta-da! Okay, gotta go do the other side. Okay, so this is our tree. We can add in a few more branches if we want to, but I'm kind of okay with how it is. So now we're going to add our metallic all the way around our New York State. Okay, so for my metallic, I am using DMC Diamond Grande, the bigger one. And I'm going to pull a strand here. It looks like I have a leftover one from some previous time. Make sure you got a big enough needle or this will start to fray, which is not fun. And then you can start basically anywhere along your outline if you have a satin stitch. And I'm just going to be taking little couching stitches or little straight stitches. Make sure that my embroidery doesn't come up. There we go. And I'm just going to be couching kind of right over the top or taking little straight stitches right over the top every, I don't know, quarter to half inch or so all the way around. And it's just going to give it a little extra boost. It's going to kind of make this look a little bit more finished. It's going to give it a little bit more pop. I like the extra little touch. It's a subtle metallic, so it's not a lot, but it's going to kind of just make it look a little bit more, I don't know, give it a little bit more value. A little bit more refined, I guess. Trying to keep my stitches evenly spaced, you know, within reason. I'm also kind of keeping my stitches parallel to the satin stitch that I have here. If you're working with a split stitch or some other kind of stitch, just kind of make sure that you're being consistent. However you've chosen to do your stitches, just try to be consistent. If you're new to working with metallic thread, try to keep your strand kind of short. It does tend to fray. and just be patient because sometimes it can be a little bit more challenging to work with. Personally, I love this Diamond Grande thread. I find it works very, very nicely. I'm using a size 5 embroidery needle and I'm not having any trouble with it. The tail does start to fray, but I'm just aware of that and I'm just kind of mindful as I'm going that the end is going to start to fray a bit. But for the most part, it stitches very, very nicely. Okay, so we've stitched all the way around with our metallic. We have our tree. I think it's looking really nice. Let me show you what I do to just kind of clean this up and to finish it up so that it's ready for sale. Okay, I'm gonna trim away the edges just a little bit. I don't wanna go too crazy, but we can't sell it with all this fabric out here. So using pinking shears, just gonna cut away the edges. Okay, and I'll take one of our wooden blocks. Finish off the back. Okay, and then I'm just gonna tie a little string. Okay, she's all ready to go. Just need to tag it and to get our logo on there, and we are good to go. We did it. We've got our little ornament all set and done. I hope that you enjoyed working on this project with me. I'm going to have these available on the local art gallery. If you want to see some of these on my website, let me know. Drop the comments links below. I can also do other states. So this is New York State. I have all 50 states, so I can do all 50. I've even done some nautical themed ones for any of you coastal states. But I think the tree is pretty universal, so I do like kind of doing up these trees. Again, they're all a little bit different. So if you're practicing your nature embroidery and you're working on your trees, don't worry. Every tree is a little bit different, so have a little bit of fun with it, enjoy. And if you want to see more of these videos, be sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe so that you can join me for even more stitching tutorials and vlogs and videos. Until next time, friends.